What's up, what's up, what's up? It's your boy G, and today I'm going to give you guys a brief review of a book I just finished called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am going to tell you up front that this is going to be a spoiler-free book review. I'm not going to reveal anything about the plot that you can't find on the back of the book or that I think you need to know before reading this book. But before we jump into my review, if you like this sort of content and you want to see more about the things that me and my family use on an everyday basis, give us a subscribe over at Moses Family Values. If you want to holler at me and you don't want to drop a comment on the video, you should want to drop a comment on the video. But if you want to holler at me in person, you can hit me up on Instagram as well. Without further ado, let's jump into the book review. Alright, so before we get started with the meat of the review, I want to give you guys a trigger warning. I don't consider this a spoiler because I think you do need to know about some of the subject matter in this book before you jump into it. I knew absolutely nothing about this book before I read it. I didn't even read the back cover. I read it based off of a recommendation, and I was kind of shocked by some of the stuff that was in the book, so I don't want that to happen to you too. So this is a fiction fantasy novel, but it is loosely based on some real events that happened during the Second Sino-Japanese War. And because of that, here's the trigger warning. I want to make sure that you're aware that this book does depict war and all of the bad things that happened during war. So there is a scene that talks about sexual assault in the book. There is a lot of heavy drug use. There is normal depiction of war, battle, death, etc. So if those are things that bother you a lot, you may not want to read this book. So again, I say there is some violence. There is speak of sexual assault, and there is a lot of drug use in this book. Now, when I say those things, it makes it sound like this is a really gratuitous book. It is not. A lot of the more heinous crimes that happen in this book are confined to one particular scene. I won't tell you where it happens in the book, but there's one particular scene in the book that deals with a lot of those topics. Now, the drug use happens throughout the book, so again, if that's something that is a trigger for you, this may not be the book for you. All right, so once you get past all of the terrible things in this book that I just told you are going to trigger you, is actually a really entertaining book. Again, don't let the trigger warning scare you. I just don't want you to be caught off guard. I was caught off guard. Most of the gratuitous stuff that happens in this book happens in 2 chapters in the book. It's not throughout the whole book. So again, this book is about a war orphan named Rin who is about to get married off to a person that she doesn't want to be married to. And she decides that the best way to get out of this arrangement is to try to get into her country's best military academy. Again, not a spoiler, that is on the back of the book. That is also a weird plan to get out of an arranged marriage, but it makes for a good book. So the characters in this book, the main character herself is pretty well developed. I enjoyed the character development. I enjoyed watching her journey throughout. Some of the cast around her is not as well developed, but they do enough to build the relationship between Rin and the rest of the people in the book that, you know, some of those emotional beats later off in the book really do pay off. So I enjoyed the character development in this book. The pacing of this book is really good. So from the first sentence of the book, I didn't want to put it down. It starts off fast and furious. They get right into the plot. They get right into the action. And then there's a little bit of a slowdown while the author does some world building, tries to help you understand what's going on. But once this book takes off, it never stops, right? Like the plot keeps coming. There's lots of plot twists. It's a really, really entertaining book. So the world building itself in this book is also really good. The author takes the time to explain to you how the gods and the powers and all that stuff works in this book. It starts off by throwing you right into that world, so it can be a little confusing at first, but hang in there. If you choose to read it, it does all get explained to you later. Again, the pacing is really, really good, and she's able to weave that world building into a really fast-paced story in a way that's still enjoyable to read. So overall, I enjoyed this book. Again, pretty memorable main character, good pacing, cool magic system. There is some gratuitous violence at one particular scene in the book, so if that's something that will turn you off, you may not want to read this book. Again, I'm going to keep giving you that trigger warning because it caught me by surprise, right? But I really enjoyed this book. Out of 5 stars, I give it a 3.5. It's not a book that I'm going to necessarily say that you need to go out and read right away, but if you like fantasy, you like books about war, you like books about magic, this is going to be right up your alley. Go ahead and pick it up. There is a link in the bio for the book. If you want to support this author and you want to support this channel, click that link and go check it out. If you read the book or you've already read the book, drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought. Talk to y'all soon.